You are 25 years in at SNL.
25 years, yeah.
And how long have you been the department head?
About 24 of those 25.
Okay, that's a lot of years.
A long time. I mean, yeah.
What do you think gave you the longevity there?
I think it's just because I love doing the show. I love the craziness and mayhem of it. And one of the things is in my 25 years, I've said no once to something what they wanted, something crazy. And I was like, it's not going to happen.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was turning the cast into old Ninja Turtles. And I was like, it's never gonna work.
I would have just gone to Party City and been like, I need like 12 Ninja Turtle costumes.
But we couldn't do masks because the Ninja Turtle, you'd have to cover their whole head. Lauren hates when you can't see the actors, so why have our cast in those masks? So I was like, it's never gonna work. And luckily, they did it as an animated thing when one of the at-home shows, so it worked out well.
What do you think makes you someone who they actually have enjoyed working with for that long?
I don't know. I roll with the punches easily. I think I can, no matter what they kind of throw at me, I don't get too flustered by it. Luckily, thank goodness. I mean, had a lot more hair when I started, but it's all good.
We have some pictures, I think, with you with a little bit more hair too. So
I had a little more hair back then, but you know.
Do you remember the first show that you department headed for SNL?
Yeah, first show I department headed was the Sylvester Stallone was the host. The first show was Sylvester Stallone hosted the show in 1997.
Wow,
something like that. Yeah, I think 96, 97. Yeah, I think it was 97, and like I got to work with Stallone and be the department head. I was like, yeah.
You'll stay. Has there ever been a time, and I also feel bad because I never I wasn't like, hey, Louie, I'm going to ask you if there's ever been a time you wanted to quit. But has there ever been a time when you were sort of like, I don't know if I can do this anymple 20 years in, 15 years in, this week was crazy.
You know, my first couple of years, my first couple of years, I was really nervous. I was like, I don't think I can deal with this. I don't know if I can handle it. It's going to be crazy. But now I don't think I've ever, as crazy as it's gotten, as little sleep as I've gotten, I don't think I've ever said, I got to go. I can't deal with this anymore.
And have they ever said you might have to go?
No, knock on wood. Thank God. You know, I'm knock on wood. I mean, I keep saying they're gonna take me out of there kicking and screaming one day, but who knows?
Well, what is the plan right now? Because you guys have been down for the whole last 3 months. When does the season come back at all, or is it done now?
We're done now for the season. We don't schedule to come back till September, so you know our season would have been ended now anyway. So it was actually not bad timing for us to have all this craziness happen. It's going to be interesting in September when we do come back, how we come back, and if we have an audience when we come back. That's going to be the big thing. I think if we come back, when we come back in September, it'll start with a very small audience. And then as things progress, we'll get our real audience back.
And have you been involved? Because we've all loved, I don't know about y'all, but I have loved the SNL at Home stuff. And I think one of the things about that's so cool is we know everybody's doing their own stuff right now, right? No one's going and doing their makeup. Are you guys, from a design standpoint, are you or any of your team involved at all in that process for the SNL at Home?
A little bit, very minimally, like with characters. For Alec, I put together, I ended up calling Alcone and ordering all the products that I would use for Alec as Trump and having it sent to him to have so he can do his own Trump makeup. Keenan wanted to try a bald cap, and if anybody seen my Instagram, Keenan has done a bald cap on me once or twice, so just for fun. And I was kind of sure he'd be able to handle it, so I sent him everything he would need to do a full bald cap, but they ended up not picking that sketch. So, but just kind of talking them through things online, really.
And are you so are they doing any more of that at all now, or for the season, or no?
No, that's it. Our season's done. We're wrapped for the season. That last show with Kristen, Kristen was supposed to be our last host. So she did the last show of the season. And
that was great. That was awesome. Yeah. One of the things I think that is really interesting to folks, and one of the questions I love to ask, I don't know how many of these guys, has anyone ever been on the SNL set or seen SNL in person, gone to be in the audience? Anybody on our group? Lots of shaking heads. Deb Milley has. Dawn has. You guys see. Whitney has. So you guys see Deb, and how quickly everything moves, and how it is just such a machine. But you're seeing like what they're doing on set. How does that happen from the standpoint of artistry? Like, what is your average amount of time to make someone up? Like anybody, whether it's a difficult makeup or an easy makeup.
Well, I'll break down the show for you. On a Saturday night, we have a dress rehearsal at 8:00, and then there's the live show at 11:30. So usually for the live show, they don't start coming back into the makeup room till 11:00. So no matter what, we never get more than half an hour to do their makeup, no matter how elaborate it is. And that would be for the cold open. Sometimes there's a crazy elaborate makeup that lands in the middle of the show somewhere. So usually I'll get anywhere from 2 minutes to maybe at the most 15 minutes to do a makeup. We'll turn Kate. We've had to turn from Giuliani into Hillary or into somebody else in like minutes sometimes, in like 2 minutes, having to rip off all of her prosthetics and get her into her next character. She's the one that we've lately been really torturing a lot, and she's just amazing too.
I mean, I am old enough to have been watching SNL from before you started doing it, and it was that secret thing. I would stay up and pretend I was asleep if my parents were watching it, and to watch Rosanna Dana with Gilda Radner, with Dan Aykroyd, all these original, Lorraine Newman, Jane Curtin. I feel like with Kate, she has become sort of the one actor within that realm and that cast that sort of has elevated at the level of that original cast to me. Everyone is amazing on the show, but she just outdoes herself in every way.
She can be anybody. She's just, so many times it's like we'll watch something in the news and go, oh man, Kate, that's going to be Kate. I'm like, all right, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to turn Kate into that today. It's like, and she's always the most gentle and kind person to deal with. I'm always apologizing to her because I'm constantly gluing stuff and ripping stuff off of her. And I'm always like, I'm sorry. She's like, it is what it is.
I mean, she's a professional. And I think that it's funny because as we were going through some of the images together, I was like, oh my God, I forgot that Kate did that character. Oh my God, I forgot that's Kate. And I think it's really interesting to see. What part of the design, like, can you take us through the design process? We're going to get into lots of the images and lots of pictures of your work, but take us through the design process, because the show is live Saturday, and you do your first live full rehearsal on Saturday evening. When do you first start designing a show and get informed about it?
So the typical week starts on a Tuesday. Tuesday, the host will come in and we'll do photo shoots, like the bumper photos and stuff, and promos on Tuesday. Wednesday at around 4 or 5 o'clock, we have the table read where the designers, the department heads, and the cast and the writers, we sit around the big table and read through 40 some odd scripts. By around 11 o'clock at night, we'll find out from those 40 scripts which 14 to 16 sketches we're actually going to do for Saturday. And then once that's done, we'll meet with the individual writers and the cast that night till like 1 o'clock in the morning, going over what they want, what each look should be like, what they're envisioning. And then I design the makeup. Jody Mancuso is the wig designer. She'll be there to go over what kind of wig looks they want. Tom Broker and Eric Justine are the costume designers, so they'll be there to figure out what the clothes are going to be like. And the four of us just coordinate amongst ourselves what the basic look is going to be like. Then I'll go down to the makeup lab and sit around the table with me, Jason, and Brandon, and we talk about what the show is going to be like. Because also now, remember, we've got the show on Saturday night, But on a Thursday and a Friday, we got between 3 and 4, but 2 to 3 pre-tapes that have to go out. So sometimes
Can you explain what that means, a pre-tape?
Pre-tape means like those commercial parodies, or like if you've seen, we did like any of those pre-tape, like we did the Dem Trumps, that's shot on a Friday, on a Thursday or a Friday, or like the commercials, some of the fake commercials, we shoot those on a Thursday or Friday, or those music videos that we do, those will be done on a Thursday or Friday. And we've got to figure out what needs to be built for that. So we've only got a day or two to make facial hair or any kind of prosthetics, design what their look is going to be like. And then I've got a team of 8 to 10 artists to go out on those on those film shoots on Friday. So once we've got to build stuff for those pre-tapes on Thursdays and Fridays, while also getting ready for the live show on Saturday. And then Saturday, just figure out how we're going to do it for Saturday. Once we get Friday morning, once those pre-tapes all go out, then we really concentrate on the Saturday night show. But usually Thursday we spend, unless there's something really big that needs to be done by Saturday, we spend Thursday prepping for the Friday pre-tapes.
Are there ever, and if I'm not mistaken, the way that it runs is the evening rehearsal, the full rehearsal with the audience, all of that doesn't make it to the live show, right? So do you ever work on something and like bust your ass on it, and then like Lauren is like, yeah, I'm not going to use the...
Usually they don't just get rid of the makeup, but they get rid of the whole sketch. Like we did a sketch with Don Cheadle where we built a full War Machine suit, head to toe War Machine. We built it from scratch, and the sketch itself wasn't funny, so they ended up cutting the sketch. So now I've got a War Machine in my shop, which is kind of cool. We did a Shape of Water sketch when I forgot who it was that hosted. We did a whole Shape of Water thing, and it was actually a really funny sketch. But the problem was it was all dubbed. It was all like subtitles. So the people in the audience was looking down at the show, not reading the subtitles, and not understanding what the joke was. So nobody was laughing in the studio. If you watch the screen, it was funny because you were reading it on the screen and you could see you were in on the joke. Nobody laughed. Lauren didn't think it was funny because nobody laughed, so they ended up cutting the sketch. And we built Pete and Sam Rockwell was the host. So we built these 2 full Shape of Water suits in 2 days, and just got cut.
That's crazy. What is so? I want to jump into the slides because we've got so many amazing makeups to talk about, and we'll go through them as quickly as you would like to. But one of the things that I think is really interesting from an audience member standpoint, like someone sitting at home watching it, is that idea of like those quick changes. And we'll talk about a couple of in the slides. Mm-hmm. But has there ever been one you missed, or that you almost missed, or that like you were like somebody went out not finished? You don't have to say if you did. It was one of your team, I'm sure, right, not you. But
there's been ones where I'm like, oh, that makeup, that's just horrible. I did a bald cap once that was just like, that's not gonna, no. It was really bad, and I knew it was bad, and it was just, and it was one of those things that they gave me 1 minute to do a full bald cap. I was like, it's never gonna work. It's gonna look like shit. And they're like, well, we'll just do it. I'm like, oh God. But rarely has there been something that I'm like, that. There's been times where there wasn't enough glue and I'd see a mustache or a beard come away, but a lot of times there's 2 minutes to put something on, and it's live TV. There's not much you can do, but no. I got a piece of wood next to me. Just because, that's always my nightmare, is something not going on. But we've been pretty fortunate, even with as crazy as some of the changes are with the host. This season, Will Ferrell was, I forgot who he was in in the cold open, and you had to be bald. And then going from the cold open into the monologue, there's only like a minute and a half of, the montage of who's on the show. And then he comes through, your host, Will Ferrell. So there was only a minute and a half between dress and air. He was only in the sketch at the beginning. So we had like 4 minutes to get him out of the bald cap. Between dress and air, it's always my favorite thing when Lauren comes over to me and he's like, we need Will to say live from New York. What's the fastest you could do that in? You can get him booked already. I'm like, I guess I'm going to get him ready. He's like, oh, yes, thank you. He just walks away, It's like, It's like you can't say I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just try and do it. It's we'll get it done. And there was a lot of I'm sorry as we're ripping, me and Amy are ripping off bald cap. He's just walking and we're ripping off the bald cap as he's walking from one place to the other, and it's just kind of crazy.
Makeup and movement. I like that.
Yeah, we move all the time. I did years ago we would do Lady Gaga. We were doing that Mother Monster makeup, and she does. If you've ever worked Lady, she doesn't sit still. So me and another guy, Steve, were gluing on the pieces on her face, and she's moving around, dancing. And her choreographer walked in. She's like, "Wow, you guys move along with her just really well," because we just kept going and moving.
That's awesome. You're talking about your team. How many people? I mean, you mentioned there could be sometimes 10 on just a pre-tape. How many people work on a regular live show?
Between 18 and 20 makeup artists on the show. Each cast member has a makeup artist, hairstylist, and a wardrobe person that's just devoted to them. So each cast member, I think we have a cast of like 17 people right now. So there's one person for the host, and then 2 people in background. And it's a pretty big team.
Do you guys do musical guests as well, or do they do a personal?
Sometimes. The musical guest usually comes with somebody. A lot of times we end up taking care of the musical guest as well. A lot of times the host brings somebody, more the female hosts bring somebody, but even if they bring somebody, the host's makeup artist will only do them for the monologue and for the band intros. All of the character changes, all of the makeup changes during the show, we take care of. Amy Tagliamonte, who's one of my keys on the show. She's great. I love her. She's been with me for years and years, and she runs the host track, and she'll do all of those crazy changes. And then whenever there's a prosthetic or anything special or really particularly crazy, I jump in there with her and we get it done.
Do you have a lot of turnover in your team, or is your team based? I know with the ones that I know, I've been there forever with you. I know there's at least out of 100 and something people, out of 130 on this Zoom, there's probably like 120 who want to know, like, how do they get to be on SNL? So how, like, do you ever, Jenny Thomas is one of them. She's nodding her head. What is that process like? Obviously this is the dream job, right? So
it's my dream job. It was my dream. I've dreamt of working on this show since I was a little kid, and to be here for 25 years, I mean, I can't. I don't know if I told you once, my very first show after that Saturday night, I finished up the show, packed up I went in as just a regular makeup person. I packed up my kit, skipped all the way to Penn Station. Every homeless guy that was asked, here you go. So I just did my first dream job. I'm like, I was on cloud 9. But as far as my team is really, I have very little turnaround on my team. Most of the time, if somebody goes, it's because they've got an offer to do something on their own, to department head something or move on to do something of their own. But I've got a great team of artists that work on the show. I mean, I couldn't do it without them, and I'm so glad they come back year after year, week after week, as crazy as I make them sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think, again, it takes a very specific type of person. I'm going to use the term pigeonholed because it's kind of funny. You've pigeonholed yourself into this role, right? Of like the quick change makeup the captain who can make anything happen no matter how much time he has. And it takes, we all talk about teamwork. I think Aaron Kruger McCash is on with us right now. And we had a session in LA about, the idea of team and what it means to be a leader like Aaron and like yourself. And for me, that, everything I've ever heard about you is how kind you are, how professional you are, how technically brilliant you are. And I'm not kissing your ass because you're already here with us. It's true. And this audience knows that about you. And I think, we all want to be Louie Zakarian when we grow up. And unfortunately, you're going to have to decide to leave before we get to do that. So I don't think we're going anywhere. I'm going to share my screen so I can get to this presentation because I could just chat with you for hours. I'm not having a cocktail right now, which is what I did the other night with Jay, because that was fun, but no one wants me to have a cocktail while I'm talking to Louie. I won't shut up. All right. So now I do want to bring something up because you have won the Guild Awards. You've like what, 2 or 3 times I think you won the Guild Awards.
Actually, last year was the first Guild Awards we won, and crazy. It was a crazy year because we'd been nominated many times and never won one. Last year we were nominated 3 times and won all 3, which kind of blew me away. I was just dumbfounded by the whole thing. It was just such an honor, and so I couldn't have been more happy because it was just an amazing evening. I was on cloud 9. I mean, yeah. The Guild Award is all your peers voting for you, and it was just so amazing to win. To win 1 would have been crazy. I'm crazy. To win 3, I was never expected into my wildest dreams.
Well, I was drinking that night, and I was screaming from my seat because I was so excited for you. And you also won not 1 Emmy, I think, but you won 8 Emmys?
8, yeah. 8. Again, crazy.
Do you remember your first one?
My first one was Betty White. Betty White. I won for the Betty White episode when she hosted the show. That was the very first one. Yeah, I mean, Betty White, Jimmy Fallon, Alec Baldwin were one. Tina Fey was another. I mean, it's just I still see myself as that kid trying to start out and never thought I would win 1 Emmy Award, and it's just been amazing. It's just, again, it's amazing. I couldn't be happier. And
your humility is one of the most charming things about you, but it's also, for me, I think our community, our TPG Pro community at the Powder Group, really responds to artists who are down to earth and appreciate the craft and do the work because they love the work, not because they want to be celebrated or win things or be rich or be famous or have the most Instagram followers. And every time you've been so kind as to speak with our community at any of our programs, like Artist Summit, I probably get more messages and comments and people stopping me saying, thank you for Louie because he's so humble and so amazing. And it makes me realize I can be not an asshole and be successful in this industry. So thank you for that, because I think there's a lot of people out there who see some poor behavior and people who are not as kind, and I think that it's just nice to have that. So I'm going to stop telling you nice things about yourself.
But it's also one of those things like I know for myself, I went into makeup because I love doing it. I have fun doing it, and I see so many people so many times that they're miserable at they're on a set and they're miserable. I'm like, why are you so miserable? You went into this because you love doing it. I mean, it's a crazy job sometimes with crazy hours, craziness, but I still, to this day, I can go 3 days no sleep and still be so happy that I'm doing what I'm doing because it's what I've wanted to do since I was a kid, and to be able to do it and have fun doing it, like I said, it is the dream job. I couldn't think of doing anything else.
Awesome. Well, speaking of dreams, the Trump administration has certainly given you guys a lot of fodder to play with. What we do, so guys, when we put this together, we wanted to kind of segment it out as best we could with so many images, like sort of thematically. So we're going to go through some political stuff first, because I think as a viewer, you think, well, this is, I miss SNL, but more right now than ever, I miss the political commentary of SNL. Because we're in a place and a time and an energy right now in the world that is so confusing, and you guys just make it bearable. So let's just get through the political stuff. And Alec wasn't the first Donald Trump, but he is the one that we know the best. What is the makeup like for him?
For him, it's we use it's really simple. It's a Visiora 5 foundation, which is kind of hard to find, but Visiora 5 and like a Stay Honey powder from Clinique. Then I have a Cinema Secrets eye concealer palette that I use for around his eyes to give him that classic Trump white eye look, you know what I mean? And then just a Vizart shadow palette to do some highlight and shadows around his cheeks and give him some highlight and shadows in his jowls. And then he's got a beautiful pair of lace eyebrows that the wig shop at SNL ventilated for us, and I style them up, and then Jody pops that wig on, and he makes that wonderful Trumpish face, and it just goes. You can see he did his own makeup for when he did Trump that last time, so you can see that wasn't me. And
another Trump, and my favorite,
Beck, I mean, Beck is another one that's just so great to work with. He's Putin over here, and like he's ready to go. Whatever you got to do, he's just always such a fun person to work with. When he was recently, we had to turn him into Mitch McConnell, and I found out on Friday night at like midnight, 1:00, that he was going to be Mitch McConnell on Saturday night. And I was on a pre-tape.
I got a picture of that too. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's amazing.
I was on a pre-tape with Kate as turned her into Newt Gingrich or something. I forgot who that guy turned her into. And I was on set at 12:00 at night, and I get the text from Steve Higgins, the head writer, that Beck is going to be Mitch McConnell tomorrow, Saturday night. And I'm like, oh shit! So I went home, went to sleep for like 4 hours, got up in the morning, went in at 6:00 in the morning, sculpted and molded, and we ran 2 sets of Mitch McConnell makeups by 7:00 Saturday night. And first time we actually tried it on him was Saturday night for the dress rehearsal. And
wow, it's amazing. I'll pull that up in a minute with another few slides. Sure. I'll show you that one. Who was this as Trump?
This is Taryn as Trump. When we started getting back into the, it's actually kind of funny, when Trump started getting back into the picture when he was going to run for president, it was over the summer. We came back and we did a whole tryout with everybody tried to be Trump. Taryn, Bobby, 80. I've got photos of somewhere of 80 as Trump. Leslie wanted to be Trump. Everybody wanted to be Trump. So, and then we tried it on with Taryn for one episode, and sometimes it only goes one episode and then just doesn't click.
And that's Cecily as Melania there too, right?
Yeah, Cecily, and she still plays Melania.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
and this is
Daryl as Trump. Daryl Hammond as Trump. He was the first one that we turned into Trump, and he's been Trump forever. Like he was originally doing Trump for the longest time.
And then, of course, Kate comes into the picture.
Yeah, Kate. She's great. She's great.
Is there and I know this sounds like a stupid question, and I do understand makeup artistry, but when you're doing, I'm going to call it a straight makeup, even though you're transforming her.
Yeah.
How much more design work goes into that? And obviously the sculpting and the big pieces that you do are the most intensive, but then, you've got Keenan and Leslie and these folks who do like character makeup, but they're not like a real person. How do you go about creating someone that exists?
Like with character, like some of Kate's characters, sometimes they're just a little highlight and shadow. Like even here where she's, who's she, Hillary there? Mm-hmm. Or I don't even know who the heck she is.
Yeah.
I think it's Hillary.
Yeah.
It's really highlight and shadows and the right color changes, the right colors of lipstick to pick for her. Rachel Pagani, who does Kate's makeup during the show, she does an amazing job of all of her quick changes. And like I said, I've got such an amazing team. I can pretty much give them photos of where we need to go and then just give them a little hint here and there. But 90% of it, they can figure out what needs to be done. And between dress and air, I'll look at the monitor and see if something needs to be tweaked, and then I'll go over and give them a little hint here and there. But like not having to stand on top of my entire crew throughout the night really is an amazing savior. This was great when this was Sarah Palin. I remember I was in a hotel room somewhere on tour, I think with Paul or something, and they picked Sarah Palin. I was like, oh, Tina's coming back. Before I got the phone call, I was like, that's so Tina. She's got to come back. And then, and I think for Tina, what we did was I gave her these little ear things to push her ears out a little bit to give her a little more ear, like Sarah Palin had for this. And she was just great. And here we go. Bush and Cheney. Oh no, I think is he Cheney there?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. Oh no, he's not Cheney there. He was what's the name that was running for president?
John McCain.
John McCain, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It's hard trying to keep track of all these characters. And this is another one time off. That was Parnell as Bush. One time, I think we did it only once. Sometimes we'll do it once, and Lauren will be like, "Yeah, let's just wait till we find somebody else." We'll just hold off till we get just the right person. Because you can't top Will's Bush. Yeah, it was Will Ferrell as Bush was just classic.
When you're working with someone like Will, who is going to take on a character, and I think it's probably like this with Kate, but you know that they are going to facially, from an expression standpoint, do so much to make this character work. Even a furrow of a brow or like a popped eye, like something that. So, do you ever take that into consideration in the design?
Oh yeah, like I'll like I said, well, for the dress rehearsal, I'll watch them in the dress rehearsal and see what they do with their face, because then I can go. Because for dress rehearsal, I kind of do it half scale because I don't want to overpower it for dress rehearsal. I want to see what it looks like on the lights in the studio, and then I'll look at the monitor and go, okay, I can pop this. I can see what he's doing. I can see exactly how they're playing it on camera with the lighting, and then I can go in and. Like I would give him a little more shadow under his eyes, give him a little more highlight and shadow in his labials here and there. But yeah, it really makes the dress and air sometimes the first time we do a character changes drastically. Just because we don't see it till dress rehearsal.
Then we have Jay as Obama.
Jay as Obama. He was tough because his skin tone was so much darker than Obama's. So I had to come up with there were Temp 2 airbrush foundations that I mixed up like 3 different colors to make just the right consistency to get him to just lighten up his skin tone enough without making him look ashy or too overly painted. And then he had these little, and then one of the funny things about Jay as Obama was when we first started, I put these little clips behind his ears to give him the ears. And then as we went on, Jay and I would look and we're like, his ears stick out more. His ears stick out more. And I was like, all right, Jay, next time I'm going to make you little ear clips, ear prosthetics. We're not going to tell anybody because the first time we did it, I asked Lauren if we could do it. And he was like, no, let's not do that. It's too much. So I said, Jay, we're going to just do it. We're going to see if anybody notices. I did it. We put them on. The next week at the table read, they were like, wow, Jay really looked great last week. He's like, did you do anything different? I was like, no, I didn't do anything different. No, we.
First, I just want to point out, I love your Lorne Michaels impression. Just saying.
Everybody's got a Lorne Michaels impression. It's Dr. Evil, Lorne Michaels, all wrapped up in one.
I know we have Fred Armisen as Obama.
Yeah, he was another one. And I caught so much heat for that one, too. Because they were like, oh, you're putting blackface on him. I'm like, it's Fred's skin tone. I didn't change his skin tone at all.
Which is ironic because people psychologically are like, oh, that's bad. He's not an African-American man, but you didn't do anything with his skin tone. So
yeah, there was just a wig and a little lip color. That was it.
In fact, I think this is these are the younger days. Look at your.
Oh yeah.
Gee, Louie.
Look at that. I had a little more hair up top.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I call this one the 3 Obamas.
Yeah, well, the middle is the Rock Obama. That's when Obama would get angry. He would turn into the Rock Obama, like the Hulk. That was my favorite. Obama would get angry and turn into the Rock Obama.
And this is, I think, who's this one now?
That's Daryl's Clinton nose tip. Putting on this is a long time ago because that's a foam nose tip.
We're gonna look. We can just go by the amount of hair you have on your head.
Yeah, you can see the difference. Yeah, this is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And that's the Clinton look.
It's great. How much? I think we don't notice those little nuances sometimes as the audience. He would have sounded like Obama. Like Clinton anyway. But that little change with the nose, how important is that for the character to come out?
Sometimes it's hugely important. For Daryl, I think we went through like 4 different noses before we finally came up with the proper nose that made him look like Clinton. When he became Al Gore, the first 2 times he did it, we were like, there was something he had a little nose tip, but it just wasn't right. And then I made these little clips, little prosthetic pieces that connected his ear to his jaw because I noticed that Gore had his ears connected to his jaw somehow. And as soon as it was like a little piece, it was like that big, like a quarter of an inch piece. But as soon as we put that on, sometimes the littlest thing will tie the whole look together.
I just want to say, I think, a lot of our artists in our the Powder Group TPG Pro community, and even our 706 and 798 communities, they're working on maybe not character development, not transformational like this. And I think that the emphasis of the detail and understanding the amount of importance for the small details, that translates to everything from bridal to editorial to advertising and commercial. Those little things that the client or the model or the actor don't even necessarily notice make such a huge difference.
Oh yeah, like just a little bit on like his eyebrow, like to color in the eyebrow just a little bit or not color in the eyebrow a little bit, hugely changes their appearance. Hugely changes the whole.
We all love Bernie.
Oh yeah, Larry David as Bernie, and then what's the name as Biden, making them those chompers,
Oh, it's great.
And this is applying the Mitch McConnell makeup, which was a lot of makeup to try and apply in the 25 minutes we have before the show. You get a bald pate, a nose, eyebrow covers, a full wraparound silicone neck and cheek appliance. And all that would have to go on. And then he would make that suck in his jaw, and it was just gold. I mean, the first time I saw him on camera, as soon as he went out there, it was amazing.
Like, do you ever just applaud yourself?
I just at that point, I was so nervous about this makeup because it was the first time I'd had to build something from morning till night to get it to look right. And it was a relief that it worked, and it worked as well as it did.
Well, again, from the audience perspective, let me say, when he walked on, it was like I sat in front of my TV and was like joyful. So awful. I apologize to any Mitch McConnell fans who are with us.
Yes, I apologize for offending you, but it's all in jest.
Yeah. No. And then we got a little more political here. This is who?
This is Cecily being turned into Ivana Trump. Ivana Trump, there you go. That wonderful nose that Ivana Trump has.
Amazing.
And Kate, go from Ginsburg to Lindsey Graham. And then Giuliani. Again, she's another one that, like, as soon as she puts the makeup on, she contorts her face. There's times I got to tell her, don't do that, because sometimes we'll put a big neck on her and she'll change her face, and it's like I'm like, you don't have to do that for this one. I'm like, I got to walk her through it sometimes.
I just want to do this and just say, like, look at the, like, just her, like, the makeup is amazing. And on Lindsay, I'm sure there's some prosthetic in there. And
yeah.
How long would that Lindsey Graham makeup take you guys?
Probably about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to put on and blend off. They're all, I try to tend to make the makeups go on as fast as, when I build a makeup, I try and design it so it's something that can go on within 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. There have been times where I've shot myself in the foot. When we used to do, oh man, what's his name? Melissa McCarthy's, who was Melissa McCarthy? Sean Spicer. Mm-hmm. That makeup would take like 15, 20 minutes to put on. She would get a bald pate, eye bags, ear things, then the wig. So when we designed it, I figured, okay, 15, 20 minutes, we're good, we're golden. I didn't take into consideration when she was going to host the show later in the year. And she ended up hosting the show, and we ended up having to do that whole makeup in like 3 minutes. Well, 3 minutes to actually glue it down. There was 6 minutes between the time she came off to the time she had to be that character. And in the sketch before that, she was getting pelted in the face with shaving cream pies. So the whole time Amy and I are gluing the makeups on her, and she's dry heaving because she swallowed so much shaving cream. It was just like trying to glue something on her. Oh, she's dry heaving the whole time. It was.
Here's Giuliani again, and then of course Jeff Sessions.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing.
Another one of she's just great. Every time we torture her with something, she would just turn it into gold.
Well, I also want to just for fun, I'm going to do this, and you can see, guys, like again, this is creating a character 101, right? Well, it's actually like graduate studies in creating a character. Not a lot of prosthetics, definitely some interesting stuff happening there prosthetic wise. And here, those ears, little slight changes on that same face, the difference that it makes.
Yeah, and the funniest thing was I had Lauren come to me because Kate, whatever she does with her mouth, she like contorts her mouth in such a way. And Lauren's like, did you put teeth in, Kate? I'm like, no, those are her teeth. I was like, she's just doing something weird with her face.
And then she's because she plays so many big characters and so many recurring characters, she ends up doing a lot of quick changes. And you talked to me about this one. This is her going from Jeff Sessions, this makeup, into
Shud. And see those little booths back there? That's one of their quick change booths. So they'll run into that little green curtain booth there, and they'll change and get into their clothes and then run back out, and there's makeup stations set up right across from there. And we'll end up slapping on a makeup really quick right across from their quick change booths.
And that's Shud.
And that's Shud right there.
So how long did it take you to go from this to that?
I think it was a couple of minutes, maybe 4 minutes, 4 minutes, something like that.
You're okay.
Yeah.
I think we actually had, did we have that one? Yeah, this is, I hope you don't mind us showing this one. This is a video that you had posted about how quickly that change happened. It's not 3 minutes long. It was just fast forwarded, but let's see if I can do this right.
I think it says it on there. It was a commercial break. Yeah.
One commercial break.
Yeah. So it's actually less than 3 minutes. One of these days I'm going to post a real-time video of this because it's really not that long.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then this is one of my favorites too. You built a lot of big stuff, right?
This was a lot. This was all from scratch. Forehead, wraparound cheeks, a neck, and a full muscle suit for this one.
Is this Beck?
Yeah, that's Beck again. He's another one I love. Beck is another one that I just start slapping stuff on. That's the full suit right there. And on the right, you could see all the other prosthetics on his face there. And then that's the sculpture of the Thanos face. And then Keenan lurking in the background.
And how long was this sketch? Do you remember?
This was the cold open. So we had like 20 minutes to actually apply all this stuff, 25 minutes. But while this was going on, so it was 25 minutes. This had to go on. Keenan's bald cap had to go on. Shashir's bald cap had to go on. So a bunch of other facial hair had to get put on. So it was pretty much 25, 30 minutes of nonstop mayhem and bald caps going on. And it was just everybody stepping up their game and just like making it happen. Amazing. It was a celebrity family feud, like Marvel versus the Game of Thrones families. It was pretty awesome.
And this is Golem from a while back.
Yeah, this is Chris Kattan. So this is look. I had a lot more hair. So
hair is overrated.
Yeah, it's all good.
And then I'm just going to go through some of these great character makeups and, if there's any we want to stop on. But I just thought it was nice to show the range of stuff you guys have to accomplish. On the prosthetics on her face here, who is this and what was the
This is Melissa Villasenor. She's another one that's, like I said, I'm really fortunate. The whole cast is so awesome to work with. I mean, they're all so gung-ho about everything we glue and do on them. And she's just been great. She's got so many cool characters that she pulls off every week. And Mikey Day from Voldemort, from Harry Potter. Bill Hader and Jason Sudeikis. I think we had like 3-4 minutes to turn him into that Frankenstein in the dark in the back of the stage somewhere. And this was after the sketch, so that I actually got to take a picture of them.
Awesome.
Will Ferrell as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Chris Parnell. That's Chris Parnell. This is another weird one. It was an exercise machine. So instead of an exercise machine, you got this Bigfoot kind of character that would just chase you around the house all day. It's called Bioflex. So you'd open the box and it would just be this creature would chase you around and beat you up, and that was the workout. It was fun.
So let me ask you a question, because Thanos and this are really a lot of work for you and your team, right? What was the length of the actual skit itself? Those skits don't run more than like 3 minutes, right?
That's it, about 2-3 minutes. Like sometimes the sketch will be maybe 5 minutes, but like this was maybe 2 minutes in the entire sketch. So
how long would it take you to build this?
This took 2 days to build nonstop. This was for a pre-tape too. So we found out about this on Tuesday and we had to shoot it on Thursday.
Amazing. And what happens? Do you have like a Louie Zakarian SNL museum storage space that we can open up one day and see all this stuff, or do you just get rid of it?
That's kind of my makeup lab. I have the makeup room, which I've kind of turned into a museum space with everything that I store, and I'm kind of a pack rat. Don't throw anything away. Excuse me. I've got I still have to throw away 2 dumpsters full of molds every season, which breaks my heart every year. It's like I throw away so much stuff, but then I try and keep as much as I possibly can. I still have this makeup on a dummy head somewhere in the lab, and I keep so much. It's gotten people like NBC people, and Keenan brings guests backstage to the makeup room all the time because there's just so much cool stuff to see back there. It's just, I think I have a video on my Instagram just of walking around in the makeup room, in the makeup lab back in where I work.
It's fascinating, and I'm going to beg you to not throw anything else away and keep it because we're going to all want it for something someday. So the TPG community will pay for a storage space for you, it all, so we can do something fun with it.
I'm trying to keep
another one.
There's another
that's
Bigfoot.
Not the same character.
No, that's The Rock as Bigfoot singing with Neil Diamond. That's Will Forte as E.T. That was another one that they're like, okay, we're going to turn Will Forte into E.T., but we want it as a makeup so you can talk. I'm like, wow, that was a puppet. You guys know that was a puppet, right? So what I did was I built. Sorry?
How did you do this? This was not a makeup though. You did a mask for it.
No, this is a makeup. There's a full makeup on him. There's Will Forte's on his knees, and what I did was on his neck. I built a prosthetic that came down and built those ridges, and had the costume department build me a jacket that I could glue to the sides of the neck, so it would make his neck look thin. Like that looks like he's got that gives you that ET look. But if you look in the back, you see his shoulders are in the back there. And it kind of just pulled off that illusion of he's got that thin little ET neck.
I just wish you could, like at the end of every show, you know how like on Game of Thrones they would do like behind the show. They should have that on SNL every week, so you can take the audience through. They understand exactly how much work it was, because I just thought that was just you popped a big head on him. But
no, that's a whole prosthetic, so he could talk and move his mouth. It was just everything. And that was back in the day when everything was foam latex. So we had to sculpt it, mold it, and cook it in the oven. Each one had to cook in the oven for like 5 hours. So we didn't sleep at all until Saturday night.
Oh, my God.
Maya with her top of her head lopped off. Yeah. Bak Bak. That's the Momo character we did on Kate a couple of seasons ago. What do you call it? Kristen Wiig as Dunice. Yeah. This was a fun one because at the table read, I'm reading the script and it says like, oh, she has a Frankenstein forehead and a snaggle tooth and little tiny misshapen hands. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do this? How the hell are we going to pull this thing off? And kind of went back to the room and talked to, I forgot who was the hair department at that time. I think it was Betty Rogers was the department head at the time. We just kind of made her a bald pate that lifted up her forehead a little bit and that crazy wig that receded her hairline. And then the doll hands were just, I had for some reason from another sketch, I had a baby doll in the mold room and I just snapped the arm off the baby doll and said, how about these? Will these work? And lo and behold, that did the trick. I should have pulled a picture with the arms in it. Please, guys, look this character up and look at the full thing. She was also on the Mother's Day episode with Betty White, I think, right? Yeah.
So look for Betty White Mother's Thursday SNL. When you Google it, you'll
And
find it. And the arms, I mean, it's so disturbing, the entire makeup. So thank you for that.
The sketch is like a Lawrence Welk sketch. It's always a Lawrence Welk sketch.
Absolutely amazing. And we're going to keep moving that. Let's see.
This is Abe Scheinwald. This is Rachel Dratch's Abe Scheinwald, like this Hollywood producer. Coneheads, finally, after 20 some odd years, I finally got to do Coneheads, and I did them. This isn't on Dan, but I actually got to do it on Dan, Lorraine, and Jane. During one of the summer of their breaks, I got a call from State Farm. They were doing these State Farm commercials, and they're like, we need to do these Coneheads on the stand. I was like, yes, please. Yes, I'm in. Yep. So we got to build Coneheads for them. And this was, I think I did at Monster Palooza. This was Brendan Fraser as Charlie Brown. This was my first, actually, this was the first time we got nominated for an Emmy, was for this episode. We didn't win, but still we got nominated, which was pretty awesome.
Awesome.
Rachel Dratch as Quixelplick, the love child of Angelina Jolie and her brother.
Famike is losing out on that one.
And there goes Ego and Leslie. Leslie was Groot. We had to build that crazy Groot head for her. And then Ego has so much hair. Trying to put it underneath that bald cap was just...
Now, Leslie doesn't get a lot of big makeup characters, does she?
We did a couple of characters. We turned her into a Klingon once. I've turned her into. We did one sketch when Tina hosted where we turned her and everybody into Mucinex boogers, but the sketch ended up getting cut. But I've done quite a few makeups on her. Done a couple of bald caps on Leslie. It was everybody had to be reindeer for a Rudolph kind of sketch. So we had ears, noses, and antlers on everybody, and hooves.
I call these next three slides our nose slides because you do a lot with this nose.
Yeah.
What's your technique for the nose tip, Louie?
Well, they're all like Jay's is just painted. 80s is a full like little mouse nose tip, and where the whiskers are, those are actually holes punched into it. It looks like whiskers, but it's actually holes so she could breathe through it. So I sit there, have a little special hole punch that we made. So we punch these little holes where the whiskers would be coming out of, and that creates the air holes for them to breathe out of. Otherwise, she'd be talking all nasal.
And also suffocating.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, same thing on this. You can see the little nose holes. This was for the one of the John Mulaney hosted. I think this was the last time he did it, which was the airport one.
Awesome. And Keenan is, I'm sure you don't have any muses, but I feel like he is just so easy, and so it's such an easy transformation as well, in so many ways.
That's that Game of Thrones sketch. So you can see all the facial hair that had to be done, and all the bald caps, and all the craziness that had to go on. But yeah, Keenan, Keenan's another one that like I could sit there and we just sit there and laugh all day. He could just say hello and makes me laugh. I mean, I just love the man.
And that's it. Now, how'd that come about?
Well, every year, because I glue so many caps and I glue so much stuff to them, and every 1 year, this was a couple of years back, I go, Keenan, last show of the season, you're going to do a ball cap on me. Okay. Last show of the season rolled around. He's like, all right, sit down. And this was during the show, mind you. So he's dressed for his sketch, and he didn't have he had like a good 20-minute run in between sketches. So he decided, okay, we're going to put a ball cap on you. He was so into putting the ball cap on, he almost missed his cue. But he did a great job of it. He had the edges burned. He had it all blended off. He was starting to paint it up, and I mean, he was so having so much fun doing it. And we were going to do it again this year at the end of this season, but the Rona got us.
Let me ask you a question. Because we're on this image of the ball cap, and I think that's you mentioned also. Let me just jump back really quick. How much work it was to get this ball cap on because of so much hair. Would you think, like, you do so many ball caps on this show? Is that like the number one can't mess it up skill set that you say every makeup artist who ever wants to touch this kind of thing needs to be able to do it blindfolded?
I'm when it comes to bald caps, I kind of have my hand in every single bald cap. I don't think there's once in a blue moon like Jason Milani or Tom De Niro, they'll start a cap, but I always get my hands in there. Knowing how to do a bald cap is a biggie because that's one of my go-to. I mean, one of these days I'm going to try and figure out how many I've done in my career there, and it's in the thousands and thousands of bald caps. It is a skill that's, I kind of do it I've done so many now, it's kind of second nature to do a bald cap. But there's so many people that have, it's one of those things that's, once you get it, you're like, oh, it's so simple to do. But just getting the feel for it, and I love gluing them on. And each person's different.
Maybe we should include that as, I know this is our TPG online version of our Master Series until we get to be able to gather again in person. And we'll be doing some live stuff with that. So maybe we'll throw in a bald cap session with that, because maybe Louie Zakarian teaching bald cap is probably like the coolest thing. There's a lot of like transformations that are not necessarily a huge character change, but just things like facial hair and age spots and things like that. What percentage of the transformations are more like these?
I'd say about 80% of the show is more this kind of transformation, just highlighting shadows and some facial hair. Like on the one on the left, it's a mustache with a wild, crazy wig. And the one where he's older, again, it's a little mustache, but he's got just a little bit of accent. And again, it's that, because whatever we do has to be able to go on and come off so fast that I like to do everything in powders instead of doing creams and greases that take longer to clean up, because sometimes he'll have to get out of this whole makeup in a commercial break. So just doing it out of powder, because it only has to stay on for 5-10 minutes tops, really. So we'll use a lot of powders and shadows. And I love my Visart palette and some Delium brushes, and you can go right in there and just do your quick highlight and shadows so super fast. And at the end of the sketch, a baby wipe takes it right off, and they're ready for their next foundation to go on top of that. Jimmy Fallon is Dennis Miller, and this one's a little prosthetic nasolabial folds on Beck and a bald cap. This is Daryl Hammond as George Lucas. And again, that's a full old age makeup, bald cap, full wraparound. These were foam latex days. This was all foam latex back in those days. And again, Kate and 80. Gotta love them. And this is I had to keep telling 80, Kate, stop. I would put the neck on and it looked great. And then she would turn her neck. I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. It's all in there in the makeup. Don't do that. And then she's like, okay, I got it. Seth and Amy Poehler. This is before Seth got his teeth fixed. And Two Spock. Jimmy Fallon is Two Spock for, I think this was for his show.
Is that a blocked brow I see?
Yeah, blocked brow and some ears.
Oh, our community learned a good blocked brow on Tuesday night from Jake Abley from at our drag session. So they can all make their Spock brows.
I think that was just we Telsus down his brow and then a little bit of eyebrow wax and some Prosade over that, and then painted it right up. And then Tina with her silicone lips, Tina would constantly, every year, I'd be like, Tina, you going to come in for a live cast? Yeah, I'll come in. And then it would be time for her to come in. She's like, oh, I'm stuck, I'm writing, I can't make it. And then that following week, she would need a prosthetic. I'm like, you're killing me, Tina. And these are the girls doing I forgot what the sketch was.
That's Jen Gardner, right?
Yeah, that's Jen Gardner, Amy, and Maya Rudolph.
So you get a lot of, obviously, every week has a celebrity. Have there ever, and we're going to go through some more celebrity images, and I'm assuming most of them are kind of good sports since it's SNL and they know what they're in for. Is there ever a point when you don't need to say who it is, but where a celebrity just pushed back on like not looking pretty or too much makeup or anything like that?
There's a couple of times. I can count on one hand how many times we've had, there are some hosts that will not let you do anything. That's Jessica Simpson, old age makeup on Jessica Simpson. Most of the time, Charlize Theron, come on. There's very little time that they'll say, no, I don't want to do it. like I said, I can count on one hand how many have been pains in the rear about it, but usually they know they're coming to SNL. They're there to have a good time and let us do what we got to do and make it funny. And and just most of the time they're amazing to
Is
work
there a
with.
celebrity guest that has just been like that sticks out in your mind as just the most joyful, fun to work with, like dream,
I mean, there's so many of them that
or a few?
Steve Carell is awesome. Every time he's there, he's been a blast. Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, I'd say 80% of the people that have been on the show, that have hosted the show, I've had a ball working with. Time and again. Alec is always great. Gwen, some braces back in the day. Like, we do a lot of braces and dentures. This is Ray Liotta from Hannibal. We had to lop off the top. That had to go on in a commercial break in the back and on the side of the stage, and get the wig, the forehead, the headpiece, and it was kind of crazy trying to get all that on in the time we had to get that all on.
See, it just for me, I'd like be like, oh, it just looks like a hat. You just put it on him, right? No.
Well, like that whole forehead is fake. So that whole forehead, it has to blend around the eyes and over the nose, and it was just sometimes I look back, I'm like, oh man, how did we pull that one off? And I've gotten myself in trouble at times too. Like, we did an Avatar sketch years back with Andy and Nassim had to be avatars. And for dress rehearsal, I think we had like 10 minutes to get him into it and 10 minutes to get him out of it. Between dress and air, Lauren cut a sketch. And he's like, well, what's the fastest you could do that? And I'm like, I need like 6-7 minutes. You could do it in 4. You could do it in 4. So we're like, oh shit, okay, we're gonna do it in 4. We got it. The sketch ended. We ripped the makeup off of Andy. He's out there, and Steve Higgins, the head writer, comes up to me. He's like, you screwed up, right? Me and Jody are standing there. He's like, you screwed up. I'm like, what do we do? He's done. He's out there. What do we do? He's like, he's the first one out there. There's still a minute to go. You're never going to get 4 minutes ever again. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, man, I wasn't thinking about milking it. I just wanted to get his ass out there.
You learned your lesson.
Oh, yeah. I shot myself in the foot that day.
What do we got here?
That's Tracy as Missy Elliott. Again, brow covers. Blocked out his brows for that. Drew Barrymore with a pig nose. I forgot what the heck that's even for, but I remember the makeups. I don't remember half the sketches that they were in. Bobby Moynihan in the age makeup.
Oh, that's
Tina,
sorry about that.
That's Tina. Actually, that's a different sketch. So
okay,
this was a whole different sketch. She's had big lips many a time.
How do you do that? How do you do her lips?
They're prosthetic. They go upper lip and lower lip to glue on, and then it's blended and glued and colored and painted to match her skin tone. And again, this was done without a life cast, so I had to fudge it a lot because until I got her life cast last year finally. Jason Sudeikis as Biden, some teeth and some nose tip and bald cap. Hugh Jackman. Again, like all that facial hair, that's all now. Back then, that was built at Bob Kelly's before Bob Kelly closed. But now we have a full wig shop in the building, and they'll ventilate all our facial hair and wigs in a day or two, and they'll build full wigs in 2 days, full beards and mustaches in a night that we need to get done by the next day to style it and curl it and get it ready for the show. This was a sketch called Astronaut Jones, and every time there was a female guest, Tracy Morgan would be Astronaut Jones, and he would just say something vulgar to them, and Cameron Diaz and Britney Spears as different aliens. Pierce Brosnan as a weird Frankenstein. Again, I can't remember.
He looks like he has Trump makeup on now.
Yeah, he was a tan because it's Pierce Brosnan. He was like Fabio Frankenstein or something.
Amazing.
Another one. This was Abby Elliott with Angelina Jolie. We got a little tattoo on her Angelina Jolie tattoos and
how do you do the tattoo work if you're having to create a tattoo as somebody who has one?
We end up just making them ourselves. They're basically like the Tinsley transfers. We print them ourselves in the shop. Before we knew how to make tattoos, before we figured out it all became popular, I figured out a way to stick, in my inkjet printer, I used to stick tracing paper. I found a particular tracing paper that I could stick into my inkjet printer and then put Prozade over it, and it would transfer like a transfer paper does now. It was really out of 5 sheets, if I got 2 sheets of, because the paper was so thin, it would get clogged up in my printer. But back then, that was the only way we can do it before the paper and all the process became so readily available, because we don't have time to send anything out to get it made. I've got to build it in a day. Sometimes I don't know till, the night before to have to build the tattoo that needs to be done.
Is there ever, with the quick changes, is there ever any negotiation with Lauren or with the teams to say, like, listen, this isn't a makeup that needs, I can't make this one happen that quickly? Have you ever had to have that conversation and say, can we move this out into the next commercial break or something?
Oh, I've tried.
Unsuccessfully.
I've tried. I've been shot down a lot, but I've tried.
I wanted to show some stuff that you've done that was not SNL, and I have to tell you, like, when we went through this all, I just look at it and I just think, my God, I can't, like, there's enough of your work out there that we could do this session once a week for a year and not repeat an image. There's that much stuff. So what I encourage everybody to jump on and just look for some SNL characters that you love and really engage with them and look at the way that they're made and look at the way that they're created. And I think it does help in so many ways. I was going to jokingly say even on Halloween, and I think was this a Halloween show for the Today Show?
Yeah, I've designed the Halloween show for the Today Show for the past, I think, like 20 years. And like the last couple of years, they really haven't done much. Up until about 4 years ago, we were doing them every Halloween. This was Matt Lauer as Paris Hilton, I think. Amazing. And I built him a full chest, and there's a whole silicone chest. So when that opens up, there's all cleavage and all that kind of fun-filled stuff in there.
How often do you? I mean, I would never dream to ask you, but how many people ask you if you do their makeup for Halloween?
That's why I take my phone off the hook. I've gotten so many people that are like, "Oh, it's Halloween, I'm going to call you." I'm like, "Yeah, no."
Like October, your phone is off for October.
My phone's usually busy in October. I can't. Nobody can get through for some reason. I don't know what it is, except Lauren.
Burner for Lauren. Just use the burner for Lauren. It's fine. It's awesome.
This was for 30 Rock. And again, she had a fun-filled Botox session go on. Did I lose you?
No, you there?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did I lose you?
Nope, I'm there. You're there.
Okay, I don't know what just happened, but
can you see the screen?
I can see the screen. It just minimized for some reason. I don't know what the heck just happened.
Well, we can see you and we can hear you. So
okay, so
that's
all.
There's a few more slides left, and then we'll chat for a few more minutes. But this one was that one, and then you've got. Can you see this one?
Yeah, I'm good. I went back to the. Hold on, wait. Give me 1 second. I don't know what the hell just happened to my screen, but. Okay.
Hey, we made it this far. We're good.
Okay, I can see the screen now. You got. Okay. That's from Blacklist. I was turning Ryan Knowles in Southpaw. I did Jake Gyllenhaal's makeup for Southpaw for 2 months in Pittsburgh, which was fun. Magnificent Seven. I did that was a whole bunch of tribal makeup that had to go on every day and stay on in the Louisiana heat of a summer heat, which was really kind of daunting. But we used a little Silicolor with the Illustrator paints, and it really worked. Did wonders.
And I would just like to volunteer that if you are ever working on shirtless male actors of this type, and you need a non-union assistant to clean your Dalian brushes, or I'm available for you and only you. But this is a very nice makeup. I would love to assist you on this makeup. I'm just going to keep it there for a minute for us.
All right.
And just a couple more questions after that. So this one is amazing. What was this from?
This was from Across the Universe. This was Julie Taymor's Across the Universe, and there had to be 30 of these guys, these drill sergeants, dancing around to the "I Want You" song, to "I Want You." So there were 30 of these guys that had to each get individual prosthetics to fit them and all give them that same kind of look to them.
This is all, so when you're doing something like this where it's multiplicity, are you doing a life cast for everybody, or are you just popping prosthetic pieces?
With this, what we did is we life cast 10 of the 30 guys, and then we life cast the other 20 of them. We just did small face casts of them. We made 10 different, out of the 30 faces, I picked 10 basic faces that would fit everybody. So I sculpted 10 prosthetics that all matched, looked the same, and then we kind of piecemealed on the other 20 to make them look. And then this was, I think, Judy Chin was the department head on this one. And
I love Judy.
We got Jude and Margie Duran was in there, and I call every East Coast makeup artist I could find to glue on prosthetic pieces. It was a fun, crazy 2 days of shooting.
How often are you working on projects that aren't SNL? How many months a year is SNL overall? How many weeks?
SNL is 21, 22 weeks out of the year. I'll end up doing them like in the summertime. Usually as soon as SNL ends, I either go on tour with Paul or I go try and pick up a movie, try and do a movie. The last couple of summers I've done the last couple of Adam Sandler movies, and I'll try and do a movie here and there whenever I can. And even during the season, like this last season, I did a werewolf movie during the season, as well as, like I said, this pharmaceutical ad. So I bounce around doing a lot of stuff in the middle of it. And that's what's great about the SNL season. It's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, a week off, a week off. So there's plenty of time that I can do other things and keep the shop running.
So everybody heard him just say there's plenty of time for him to do other things. So when we go to schedule our TPG in-person live sessions, it's going to be so easy. Let's talk about Paul for a minute, because I think it's kind of amazing. You toured with Paul Simon for how many years?
I've been working with Paul for 15 years now. And he goes out on tour and I'll go out on the road with him. And this was, I think this picture was when we went to India we went to the Dalai Lamas. We went to go meet the Dalai Lama. And then on the way back, we stopped at the Taj Mahal. I mean, is that name drop? Is that a name drop? I don't know.
It's name drop. It's only name drop if you say that you flew private every time you fly with Paul, but I'll say that you don't have to. I think it's amazing that, you work so hard for so many weeks in a row, and then you don't take a break. Like, you literally just continue to work and you fill in those gaps. And I joked about, the idea of like having extra time because let's schedule our stuff, but you don't ever take a break. And I think for someone with your career, 25 years in, under that roof at NBC, I think it would be very easy for someone to say, all right, I'm done. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to have vacation. I'm going to take time with my family. But you don't do that. You work. What is it about the work and the variety of work? Is it the variety that makes you want to do the other stuff?
Sometimes it's the experience that you get to do. I mean, like with Paul, he'll call me to go out on tour with him. I'm like, how often am I going to get the opportunity to go out on tour across Europe and go see the whole world basically with, and do it, like you said, not slumming it.
Again, if you need an assistant, I'm not sure you need one.
You know what I mean? And there was a while when Paul was on tour with Sting. Like he was doing the European tour. I would fly back from Europe on Thursday, get back on Thursday morning to do the work on SNL, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then get on a plane Sunday morning and go back overseas for a couple of days and then come back again. It was just,
wow.
It kicked my butt, but it was definitely an experience.
I wanted to end on this picture with regard to your work, because
on that note,
really special. Where was this from?
This was a photo shoot with Irving Penn. This was a photo for Vogue magazine. And we had done a sketch where somebody stretched their skin, and I got a call from Vogue that Irving Penn wanted to do a photo shoot about the elasticity of skin. And I was like, okay, I'm in. But with that other note that I was telling you before about working so much, I've tried to do a little less of that because a couple of years back when my wife, I was away so much that one day my son turns to my wife and says, "When Daddy comes over," and she said, "No, when Daddy comes home." When Daddy comes home, not when he comes over.
Ouch.
So I've tried to stop doing that whirlwind as much as I can, but it's still, sometimes you just can't say no when they call you for a project.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the things that I've said about you to anyone who will let me talk to them about how amazing Louie is that you are one of those artists, a handful of them in our industry, that I look at and think, I wish that everyone could have the experience of getting to know the work ethic, the humility, the kindness, the generosity, the technical skill, the ease of working with. And I just want to say, for the industry at large, thank you for being an incredible example to our community and to all of the communities out there in makeup artistry. I wish that we had 1,000, million, 1,000 of you, and that your energy and the way you engage could just be duplicated over and over again. I just feel very lucky that you've had a team around you that I've had the chance to chat with and hang out with and work with a little bit, and they are all of that same energy. And I think that the apple does not fall far from the tree, and I think that it's a big deal.
Thank you, and thank you, Michael, for having me part of this. It's always such a blast just getting together and talking, and I love, you get me talking about makeup, I can keep going for hours and hours.
I know, and I promise you it would not be more than an hour and a half, so I'm going to cut it off before it becomes more than that. I just want to remind everybody that Louie is going to be doing some sessions with us later this year, if not by the end of the year, depending upon safety and how everything works, what we can do in person, etc. It'll either be toward the end of the year or in the early part of 2021. And I hope he doesn't mind. I'm going to share that one of the things Louie wanted to do, we're going to do one that's a little bit more of an early stage, more of a beginner style, full day hands-on thing. But then also Louie said, can I do something more advanced? And I said, sure. He goes, can I do it at my lab? And I was like, yeah. So we're going to have a very special opportunity. Can you talk just a little bit about what you had in mind for that one?
I was thinking about something like in my studio. I have a studio in Astoria it's a nice big space, and I wanted to do something a little more hands-on. Like, when we do them in a big preset space, we could do application, we can do stuff like that. But I was thinking something a little more of like a little sculpting, a little molding, making your own transfers, making your own prosthetics, and then applying those same prosthetics. So a little more soup to nuts, if you will, of the whole process. So you can get a feel for getting your hands in clay, getting your hands in some silicone, some stone, and just having a ball with it.
I'm seeing lots of nodding heads. Christina Vita just had a little heart attack. So I just want to thank again. I want to thank you, Louie. I want to thank our sponsors again: Scandinavia, The Makeup Light, Cinema Secrets, Delium Tools, Alcone, Senna, and Tem2. Thank you guys so much all for being here. Louie, I am so grateful. I'm so lucky to call you a friend, and I'm so grateful for your kindness and your generosity to our community.
Same here. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.
All right, guys. Thank you, Louie.
Thank you very much. Thanks again.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.